All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Omar Kashad. I'm an adult services librarian here at the Carroll Stream Public Library. I'm glad to see everyone come out this evening to learn more about Google Docs. And I'll talk a bit more about, what is Google Docs and what is the cloud and all that good stuff. And how do I even access Google Docs and how do I use Google Docs? I don't know if any of you came out before, but a while ago I did a presentation on like the entire Google suite of products. Talked a little bit about Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Slides, I think is the name of their PowerPoint equivalent. But anyway, if you've ever used a word processor before, like Microsoft Word or Pages or anything along those lines, a lot of what I'm going to show you today looks similar. The difference being is that it's on the cloud. But before I get started, I'm just going to end my video here so you can see more of the screen and less of me. And we're going to advance to the next slide. So again, what is Google Docs? Well, Google Docs is a free web-based program for creating and editing documents. I already asked earlier, has anyone used Google Docs before? At least one person said yes, another person said no. Google Docs is on the cloud. So what is the cloud? We always hear about the cloud, but what is it? Well, the cloud is effectively, I think the best way of saying is the cloud is somebody else's, in a sense, computer. And what that means is the cloud can be accessed through the internet. Anywhere you can get, any place you can get on the internet, you can potentially access the cloud. Meaning that if you're saving your documents, Google Docs, you can access them from home, you can access them from work, you can access them from the library, you can access them anywhere across the world as long as you have an internet connection. This is helpful because because as opposed to files that are saved to your computer. Because if you have like a laptop, maybe you don't want to take your laptop everywhere and the files are saved only to the laptop. Well, you don't need to carry your laptop with you. Those files are on the cloud. Now, I wouldn't say it's a double-edged sword. It's very helpful to be able to save things to the cloud. The library is cloud-based software. We don't use Google Docs. We use its competitor, Microsoft. Microsoft has what's called Office 365, which is also a cloud-based, word processing, PowerPoint, Word, PowerPoint, Excel, so on. So this class is not just to say only use Google Docs if you want to use cloud-based software. Well, that's no, because the library would not just like say just use this one product. We're not here to advertise. But what I'm going to show you today will apply to most cloud-based editing software. It's just that the two major ones are Google and Microsoft, and there are other ones out there. Those are just the only two I can name off the top of my head. Now, the thing with though is if it's on the cloud, I mean, that's not a bad thing. The only thing you have to be aware of, again, is that need for an internet connection. There are ways to sort of use cloud-based software programs offline, but but that's a little bit outside the scope of this presentation. And it's better just to think of it as you need the cloud in order to use any cloud like Google Docs or even Microsoft Office Online 365. You need to have access to the internet. So if your internet goes down, I mean, if you're already working on something, then the internet, once it comes back, the document should update itself. But unfortunately, if you're going somewhere, like let's say you're going up somewhere where the internet connection is not that stable, you may want to consider having an offline version of your file, because you may not be able to access the internet, and when you can't access the internet, then you can't access your files. There was an example, this is maybe about a couple weeks ago, where like Microsoft Teams, which is a team-based collaboration software on the cloud, well, Teams went down, and all these people at work were like, well, what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to be at a team meeting. I can't access the internet. It's great I can't do any work, but it's bad because I can't do any work. So anyway, but yeah, Google Docs makes it easy to collaborate with others. You can co-write a letter with your friends. You can create a meeting agenda with your coworkers. You can even ask a classmate for feedback on an assignment you've completed. Google Docs is also free in a free Google account, and I'll show you how to get a Google account, in which you don't even have to get a Gmail account. Gmail is Google's email provider, but you don't have to get a Gmail account. You do not have to get another email account in order to use Google Docs. It's easier if you do. I mean, it's more straightforward, or more streamlined, but you don't have to. So for example, I have a Gmail account, but me accessing my Google account at work, I use my work email address. But every time you create a new Google Doc, your doc will be automatically saved to your Google Drive, is what it's called. That's basically your cloud drive. And so, so you never need to stop and also save your document, which is also an advantage of the cloud. Or Google Docs, Microsoft Office is the same way online, but basically, and we'll see this at the end of the presentation, is it's constantly saving your progress. So you don't have to click save. It periodically saves every few minutes or so. And then you can also access older versions of your document in case you're like, well, this is not working for me. I want to go back to an older version of the document. Well, you can. But anyway, so we're going to move on to the next slide. So this is how you can sign in and create a Google account if you don't already have one. If you do, then you don't need to do this. If you have a Google account, you don't need to do this. But basically what happens is when you sign in, you're going to sign into your Google account by going to google.com and clicking sign in. And then what you can do is if you already have a Google account, you can sign in. And if you don't, you can set one up for free. Now, what's important though is if you don't want to use you don't want a Gmail account because you don't want another email account. If you do the create account option, which is kind of there, I can't pause this video, but basically at the bottom it says create account. Well, there's a way to say sign up as sort of like a business account, which doesn't really mean much. But if you say sign up, I believe is like a business account or an institutional account. I don't remember the exact wording for it, but then it will allow you to use your already existing email address. So like if you want to use your Yahoo account or your Outlook account, or if you have a Hotmail account or Ymail account, or even your work account, that's how I signed up for this with my work account. I said, I'm not going to create a Google account by creating a Gmail account. I'm just going to create a different account, which is sort of like a business quote unquote account. And then it'll let me use my existing email address. And I just created a new password for it because I don't recommend if you're not using a Gmail account, and you're using your own personal email that's different, I don't recommend setting the password for your Google account to be the same as your Outlook account or your Yahoo account or your Facebook or whatever account. It's just a matter of online security. It's just better, safer that way. But that's up to you. But like I said, if you already have the Gmail account or the Google account, you don't need to create another account. You already have access to all of this stuff for free. If your business or employer uses Google Workspace as well, which I don't know many businesses that do that, we don't, but you may have an email address that doesn't look like a Gmail address, but it is still a Google account. So you could also check with your provider. Like for example, at the library, we're using Office 365, but we don't all have Outlook accounts. So it's possible your workplace, if you're doing this for work, might be using Google anyway, but you have to ask them about that. So then how do you create a Google Doc? Now this was designed to be like you're working along with me, but obviously we're not going to do that because, we just don't have the time for that. But basically, so anyway, just something to be aware of. So that we'll see some examples of like follow along, but we're not going to do that, but I'll share you the slides with this presentation later. So then how do you create a Google account or a Google Doc? For starters, you're going to open the Google Apps menu, which is located in the top right-hand corner next to that A there. That A will likely be the first initial of your first name unless you added like a photo there. But when you click those three dots on google.com, you're going to see a bunch of options appear below it. There's Google Drive, there's Google Calendar, Google Translate if you're trying to translate something from another language. There's Google Photos, there's Google other stuff which I won't go into, but the one that's sort of been highlighted is Google Docs. Now you're going to select that, and then once you're done with that, then you'll be taken to the Google Docs page. Now on this page, you may see to yourself, well, wait a minute, why do I see examples of letters on here? I haven't written anything yet. Well, those other options that aren't circled here, those are templates. So it's the same with Microsoft Office. They'll have templates, which are basically like pre-formatted documents that, like a resume, can be pre-formatted, a cover letter, that's what those first three examples are, or like a project proposal or a brochure or a report, the list goes on, that will have all the text you basically will have everything formatted and there will be text there, but you can then edit the text as you see fit. Obviously, you're not going to submit a sample resume that you got with someone else's name on it that's made up. No, you're going to change it to be your own information. So again, there are templates that are out there, but for if you want to create a blank document, you're actually going to press the plus with the giant circle on it, and then you'll be taken to what looks like this. This may look very familiar if we've used other word processing tools, but I'm going to cover every single step individually. But in the top left-hand corner, you're going to notice that it's going to say that this is an untitled document. Well, what you're going to do is you can click on the actual name of the document that says untitled document, and then you can change the name to something that has meaning to you. Because again, this is how you'll find this file in Google Drive later. Is you'll click on that, and then you'll re-edit your document. And then change the document name to something like, like Omar's resume or Omar's schedule or Carol Stream Library strategic plan. The list goes on. We've all named a document before probably, but anyway, that's how you would name it in that top left-hand corner, and you'll type in a new title. Here's an example right here, like sample sharing document for those of you who can see that. Then you simply, then you can simply click away, and then you'll just see that it's, it's been retitled, and then you'll just click on the document itself, and they'll have the new name. You can always rechange that name in the future. You can't just change. You can only change it once. You can change it as many times as you want. But anyway, that's how you retitle your document. So again, this is that try it. This is just, again, just to review what I just showed you. You'll after you sign in with your Google account, you'll click the Google Apps menu, which is the 9 dots right there. You'll navigate down to Google Docs. And then what you're going to do is you're then going to go to the documents like home page or starter page or launch page or however you want to refer to it. You'll then click the plus that says, blank, and then it'll have documents, and then you'll create a new document. What you'll see below here though is, and there's nothing here in this example, is it says, there's sometimes you might see like examples of previous files here in this big white box down here that you've accessed. This class doesn't really cover access an existing document as much, but if you have an existing document, it's going to be down here in this white space, or one of the other options on that menu, which I alluded to briefly, is called Google Drive. All of your files are saved to Google Drive. And if you're just joining us, this presentation is being recorded, and I'll send it out to anybody in case you've missed any of the prior stuff, but we're more or less just getting started. So again, yeah, you can retitle your document by opening the Google Apps menu, clicking the Google Docs icon, and then from there, you'll select a blank document, and then you'll type in a new title in order, again, to give it meaning to you when you're looking through your Google Docs files later. And then you'll, again, that's just how you rename your document. Now, in addition to just naming your document, of course, now we're going to explore formatting. If you've ever used, like I said, Word or any other word processor, we're probably familiar with formatting our document. That includes like changing the font type, changing the font size, doing things like that. Well, you're going to do that through what's called the Google Docs toolbar, which you'll find at the top of every Google Doc. It contains some buttons with shortcuts to some of the more commonly performed actions. To offer a comparison for Microsoft Office, if you've ever used Microsoft Word, their cloud-based program, Microsoft Office 365, the options that they have on there on the Office 365 online version, they don't have as many options to change your document as they do on the actual like Word program. But anyway, like I said, you're going to see a lot of good stuff here for like what you can do to format your document. But just know that, if you need more than what Google Docs offers, you may have to consider using like a different word processor, download your document and then upload it to Word or something. Again, you may never need to do that, but just something to be aware of, that sometimes all the options here, you may need more that you may find on a different version of the program. But like I said, don't worry about that. You would only know that if you're really like knee deep into editing it or something. But anyway, you can use the toolbar, which is that top thing there, which is, here it is in this line, in this box, I should say. And we'll use the toolbar to perform formatting, or I'll show you how it can be done for the next few minutes. But like I said, there's a lot of features here, and I don't have time to cover all of them. It's just something you'll learn by editing your documents on your own time. Or maybe, again, we've probably seen it all before if we've edited stuff before. If you want to know what any of these buttons do, like what does 100% mean? What is this like paint roller, which I think is the format roller? What you'll do is you can then hover your mouse over each one, and then a box will show up and it'll explain what it does. Now the toolbar, again, is just a selection of the most popular actions you can take with docs. To see even more things you can do with your Google Doc, you can explore the menu options just above the toolbar where it says edit, view, insert, format, tools, extensions, help. Just know that, there's more you can do than just on this toolbar one time. You just click a different option and different toolbar options will appear, and we'll cover some of the other stuff that you can see here as well in just a little bit. So similar to any a Word document, you can type a sentence if you want to. So you start typing in your sentence, I am learning to use Google Docs. Again, this is all very straightforward. Maybe you'll make a mistake. You just hit the backspace button, and then you can go ahead and just change it. But again, that's just how easy it is in terms of ease of use. What we'll also notice now is next to the ribbon menus on here, we'll also see where it says last edit was seconds ago. This is important where it says next to help, it says last edit was seconds ago. That lets you know when was the last time that Google automatically saved this document. That's helpful because at least you'll be reassured, at times saying, well, when did it last save? Did this really save? Well, this last edit was seconds ago. We'll let you know, okay, well, it just recently saved it. But again, that's pretty straightforward, just typing something in. And then what you can do is, if we've ever used a word processor before, if we've ever, we can always make our formatting changes before we start writing something. That's what I usually do. Make your font size selection, the first before you start typing. But if you've already started typing, you can always highlight what you've already written. And I talked about this more when I used to teach the Microsoft Word class, but you can highlight what you've done. And then what you can do is you can then go up to the menu options, and then you can change the formatting of what you've already typed. Again, this may not be revolutionary to those of us who've used a word processor before, but again, this is just to show you that what you did on your previous, if you've learned how to use a word processor in the past, all of it's pretty much going to apply to using Google Docs. So like I said, you've got your text selected, and the only reason it disappeared is because it's just highlighting some of the menu options here to pretend like that highlighted text is still here. You will see it when you're using Google Docs. They've just hidden it on this sample slide. What you'll do is, like, for example, the font. The font by default is apparently, or in this instance, was Arial. But you can change it to be all these different ones that are down here. There's probably more fonts that are here as well. You can probably scroll or by choose the more fonts option. Chances are these are just some of the more popular ones. Arial Arial has been pretty standard among different word processors for a while now. Although at one point I think it was Calibri was another one, and then in the old days when we're using word processors in the 90s, it used to be Times New Roman, and it changes, and there's also Comic Sans on there, which is kind of funny because Comic Sans is primarily used by newspapers as their font, or at least it is or was. But anyway, what's funny was when I was teaching the Microsoft Word class a long time ago, I had a woman come in, and she had actually come from the newspaper industry. She was retired. She asked, was there Comic Sans available as a font, which I thought that was kind of funny that my coworker told me that, and it ended up being true. But anyway, so again, you can change the font by selecting the font menu in the toolbar. Again, it's Arial. Google Docs offers about 30 fonts around, that you can choose from. And then, like I said, in addition to that, in the next menu, you can even increase the font size. That's what the 11 indicates. You can either click on the 11, you can change the font size, or you can just click the plus or the minus. Again, if your text is already highlighted, it'll change what you've already highlighted. But if you're going to start, but again, you need to change this if you're starting to write before you start writing new stuff as well, because chances are, what I've sometimes found is if you highlight your existing text and change the font options, that sometimes doesn't always translate to what you're going to write in the future. So again, just know that if you start typing and it doesn't look the same, be sure to change these options again before you actually start typing. Change it to font like 11 or 12, or the Arial to Calibri or whatever. but anyway, so then moving on, you can also do things like, the font alignment is on here. You can have it be left justified, center justified, right, or left aligned, center aligned, right aligned. If you're not familiar with Justify, Justify is also something from the newspaper industry that you'll see the most. Basically, the sides of the document. Oh, I'm about to sneeze. Sorry, let me mute real quick. I don't know, it's either going to come or it's not. I'm sorry if I sneeze in the minute while I'm doing this, but basically Justify, if you're not familiar with that, is basically the sides of the document are even, but you'll notice that that the words may have different spacing accordingly if you've ever used the Justify option. Again, I've almost never used it, but it's there. Most people use left alignment or potentially center. If you have like a header on your, or a document, or a header or title of your document, you may want to use center, and there may be a reason why you want to use right justification or right alignment. In addition to that, what's also helpful is you have the undo and the redo options, which are here on the left. That's helpful because, again, maybe you made a mistake or whatever, and you want to undo what you just did. Well, clicking the undo arrow will undo what you did previously, and you should be able to click that a few more times. Like, this is helpful if you accidentally deleted something and you want it to come back. You can choose the undo option. Of course, you can also do, if you undo something and you go too far, you can also click the redo option. Sometimes the redo option will also redo something you've just done. I've only seen that mostly with PowerPoint, but and that might be possible with Google Docs as well. But anyway, you can click the undo option. If you want to undo the undo, you'll click the redo. Tongue twisters today, but anyway. But that's just what there. So again, you can experiment with formatting again by typing a sentence. First, type the sentence. Second, highlight the sentence. Third, as we can see here, you can change the alignment. We sort of skipped. It's sort of like we didn't see them do this, but basically there's the undo option in effect, being done. In which case, is going back steps that we didn't even see. But basically, that you can change the font size, you can bold it, you can italicize it if you want to. You can also underline it. You can do all sorts of word processing stuff. Again, you can make the font bigger. And then again, there's your justification. This thing's just on a loop. But anyway, like I said, this is all, again, standard formatting stuff for Word documents, which I think should hopefully reassure some of us, if we haven't used Google Docs before, that a lot of what if you've used a word processor before, translates over into Google Docs. Now, the other powerful thing, though, with the cloud is that you can do something which you can't do really on your personal computer if the file was saved to your computer, and that's sharing it. It's possible to share a document with a partner or even multiple people, which happened to me in library school. The document was shared with me and about maybe 5 or 6 other fellow students. And so we were able to work on it collaboratively without having to use the same computer, because again, it was all cloud-based. When you create a Google document, though, you own it in a sense. As the document's owner, you manage whether or not other people can access it. By default, nobody can, but it is possible to share the document, which I'll show you in a bit. Now, sharing a Google Doc is a way of giving someone access to your document so they can look at it, or they can, not necessarily even edit it. They can at least view it. They could also add a comment if they wanted to, or they could even edit it. Most of my experience in this field is mostly about the editing part of it. I haven't done too much with comments, but we'll tour comments. I just don't have as much experience with commenting on a document, but the possibility is there. Once someone is shared on a document, they will have access to that document. Again, whether or not they have the document opened on your device. So basically, you don't even have to be accessing the Google Doc. You've shared it with other people, and then they're editing it, and you don't have to have it open, which again is another powerful tip. The other thing, the thing though is you're probably asking yourself, well, does this person have to have a Gmail account? Mostly no, but they would need to have a Google account. This really doesn't work without the person you're sharing it with having a Google account. There is a way around that, but it works a lot better if everyone does. Now, you could share a document, and have it open to everybody who has the link. But then, what happens if somebody gets the link that you don't want to have it? You don't want like a stranger to be able to view this document. In which case, again, that's one of the dangers of not sharing it with somebody who doesn't have a Google account. Now, again, anyone can sign up for a Google account for free. It's just something you need to think of ahead of time is, who am I sharing this with, and do they have a Google account? Now, you can always revoke access later. In addition to that, you can undo versions of a document. Like if somebody got access to your document and then they started making all these crazy changes, you can change that. You can also revoke access, which I think I just said, and you can also change the link for being public to private. But again, it's better not to have an open link if you can avoid it. But again, maybe the person you're working with is absolutely not going to want to have a Google account. That may be your only way around that. But anyway, so how do you share a document? Well, this is on the far right of the ribbon here. We see where it says the word share. When you click the word share, you're then going to be able to say who are you sharing this with through their email address. So what happens is, so when you hover and then when you move on, of course, you click this button and then this share field opens up. You're going to click where it says share. I'm a little uncertain what these other options do. One of these looks like it's a Google Calendar option, but anyway, you're going to click where it says share again. And when you do that, what it's going to do is it's going to ask you to then type in your partners or your coworkers or your fellow students. You're going to put in their email addresses into the add people and groups option. If you look below that, you're going to see where it says get link, which says restricted, which means that only people added can open with this link. So that's good. That's privacy. You're only sharing it with certain people. And again, the only people who can access that are if your friend shares it with somebody else who you didn't agree to, I believe my understanding is it shouldn't work for them, because you have to log into your Google account first in order to edit the document, as long as it's restricted. So again, that's helpful if you share it with somebody who's like, I'm going to share it with a whole bunch of other people, blah. Just rest assured that they won't be able to access this document. They'll have the link, but that shouldn't really make a difference, because again, you said who you're adding to this anyway. But like I said, you can share a Google Doc with anyone, a coworker, a friend, a classmate, or a collaborator. To share your doc with someone, you're going to type their name in the space. If it's someone you share documents with often, Google Docs may suggest them when you start typing their name. So if you've collaborated with Anjali or whoever, or Jessica or Claire or whomever, you can put in it'll start to populate their name if you've worked with them in the past by sharing access to documents with them. And again, you can choose what sort of permission that they get. So again, you type in, here's their email address field, you put in their email address, you said done. At this point, if you look to the right where you put in their email address, that's where you sign the permissions. They can either just be allowed to view the document, they could potentially just be a commenter or commentator, or however you want to put it. You're going to say commenter if you just want them to be able to, not just to be able to view the document, but also add comments. That's different than the editing option, which is below it, which is the one by default, because chances are you're sharing this with somebody so they can edit it. But again, commentator just means that we'll see comments in a little bit. Comments just means that you can add a comment to the point that's made on the document, and whoever and as the person who owns the document, which is you can then look at those comments and respond to them, or else make edits on the document accordingly. This is helpful if you're working more with a really collaborative environment, like with your coworkers. You may see that more than sharing it with family and friends, but again, every situation is different. Oops, sorry. But anyway, so you can also type in the message here. You can add a little note too, saying why it is you're sharing it with somebody. This is helpful because, if you ever get like a Google Doc in your email that you're like, who is this person? I don't even know who this is. It's probably better not to click the link, but at least if they add a message and you recognize this person, it should be safe. But again, you may want to contact the person who hopefully is sharing this with you. Hopefully they told you in advance to expect it, and the message will just say, hey, Omar, here's tomorrow's agenda as promised. And they'll say, click this link in order to access it. But yeah, don't forget, when you're done with that, be sure to click send. Be sure to click send. I'm pretty sure you can add multiple email addresses rather than just one, but unfortunately, like I said, I don't share a lot of stuff with other people through Google Docs. But again, I think you can add multiple email addresses as well. And again, you'll click send, and then off it'll go. Now, what about actually opening that shared document? What does it look like on the person who I said is going to get this email? Well, when they get the email, they're going to get like an example of to open a doc that's been shared by email. First of all, go to your Gmail account, or again, if you don't have the Gmail account, it should go to the person's non-Gmail account as long as they have a Google account to access it. And then basically what you do is at or near the top, if this is only email in this example, but when you open the email, it's going to look like this. And it's going to say who it is. Aisha.smith.learns@gmail.com has invited you to edit the following document. Again, sample sharing document. That was the name that was given to the document at the beginning of this presentation. And then you're going to click open in Docs, and then it'll be redirect you to Google Docs. So again, this is just the process of events. Again, we're not going to try it because we're just not going to do that today, although I will hopefully show a little bit. This is an example. You open Gmail, you open the email from your partner, and you click open in Drive, although this says open in Docs, whatever. I mean, there's only one link there. But then what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to edit the document together. So you're working at the Google Doc at the same time as someone else allows you and your collaborator to add your own ideas into the document, make changes, and see each other's contributions in real time, which again is another advantage of the cloud. You can work on something simultaneously together, which just isn't possible if the document is solely saved to your computer. It used to be much harder to work with other people on a document. You'd have to email it to somebody and then have to do their changes and then send it back to you. I certainly remember those days, and to a certain extent, those days still exist for me, but we also have shared documents here at the library that we edit on and work together. And again, there's a lot of back and forth, and it took longer, and you'd have to wait for the person to send it back to you and say, hey, did you finish those edits? Now you'll know whether the edits were done or not because you'll access this document, again, be able to see the changes that have been made. Again, working together with someone is one of the powerful parts of the cloud, which just wasn't possible in the pre or the early internet days. Now, Google Docs, but not just them, Microsoft Office 365, and everything else, it's possible to do that on those as well. You and your collaborators share access to the same document so that you can always see the most up-to-date changes, and you won't have to juggle multiple copies of the document. Again, it's just one copy. You're just editing it simultaneously, and then you don't have to worry about, oh, well, this is the updated version, and was this the updated version or was this the unupdated version? Again, it's all just on the cloud, so you'll know. It's just one document. So again, you can join but we're not joining any partners, but you'll know other people are editing this simultaneously by this circle in the top right, which will show the different people who are collaborating on this document. You can see who else is working on the document. You can click on that. You'll see the avatars of the other people have the document open. Again, you'll click on that, so you should be able to see all the members of people who are editing your document. And when you or whoever else is in it, you can start typing and formatting. The other person will see, what you've added. You'll see what they've done. Again, we're just not going to do this, but oops. But yeah, so that's just one of the powerful tools of editing together. So again, you can click on your collaborators, which is there in the top right. And again, when you click their avatar, your cursor will jump to the spot where that person is actually making changes if you want to, which is also interesting if you want to know who is making this particular change. Sometimes it'll tell you. I know that's that way in Office 365, where you can see like a person's initials as they're editing it. But anyway, so yeah, you click their avatar, then you'll be taken to the editing that they're doing. Again, you could type in your document with your partner. Now, as you're working on it together, though, just because you're editing the document at the same time doesn't mean you're probably in like verbal communication with each other. So what you can do is it's possible to use chat inside of Google Documents in order to collaborate with someone as you're working on the document, because maybe there's a point where you both want to talk to each other and hash something out. Well, you could potentially call each other as you're working on it together, or you could just use the chat since you're already in the Google Doc to begin with. You do that by, first of all, clicking the chat button, which is this little box right here between the avatars and where it says share. And when you do that, you can then open the chat box and you can start to type in a chat like you would, I'm sure if you've ever used texting before or stuff, this looks very similar. In this case, it'll say, let's chat here if we have any, or I just use the chat for Zoom. So, there you go. And and others have used it as well. Again, you can chat here for any questions that come up and you can type your response. You see everybody's name here. as you're doing your chat. Okay, and then again, everyone in the file though will be able to see it. This is like a shared chat. So if you have like 4 people sharing it together, everyone's going to see what the chats are about. So don't say anything you may regret later. But anyway, so again, you can try again by clicking that chat button and then putting in your chat. You can chat with a partner if you want to, if you share this with other people later. Something for you to do on your own time. We're just not going to do that now. Now, in addition to doing the chat, though, it's also possible to add a comment. And again, this is the area I have the least experience with this, but again, it's all pretty straightforward. But anyway, so basically you can collaborate. So comments are notes you can leave on top of text or other parts of a document. So you can use your grocery list as an example. Say someone adds a grocery to your list, like family members, but you've already got that item at home, so you don't need to buy it. Well, you can leave a comment saying you've already bought it, or you can leave a comment saying, as we're about to see, who drank all the milk. But so what happens is, so as you want to add a comment, you select the text or object that you want to comment on, in which case it's milk. You'll then click the add comment button, which it's kind of hard to see. It's this little tiny dot up here between the circle and the link option. And then this will open a comment, and then again, you're going to type, you're going to then, or you can also click this plus button. I'm uncertain if when that shows up, like I think you have to click it first and then this shows up, but anyway, regardless, it should appear here on the right. And then what you're going to do is you can then add a comment, or you can at other people in order for them to get a notification saying, hey, so-and-so, I'm specifically directing this comment at you, or you could just leave that blank and just type in your comment. That, like I said, only the at thing determines if they get a notification or not. So Aisha Smith's saying she saw that you had made this list, and she says, hey, wait a minute, I already bought milk. Why do we need to buy more milk? And then you're going to get a response that's going to say, you're going to notice that again, now, in addition to writing your comment, though, you can also edit it if you want. You can click the 3 dots here, and they'll ask you to edit the comment or delete the comment. So don't worry if you made a comment that's got typos in there, you want to delete the comment later, you can. But either way, when you're done, you're just going to click where it says save right here. And then you do we need more? I already bought milk. Do we need more milk? And then you'll click save, and then the comment will be saved. And then once you select, yeah, so again, but that's just one example. But then what happens is, so you're going to see the comment, and you can respond though to comments that other people have already made. You click on the comment, which here we go. You click on the comment, and then immediately a little box is going to appear below it. And then you or whoever else is adding this document who sees this will be able to add a comment. So it says, I already bought milk. Do we need more? And when you click on that, you're going to say, oops, I drank it. Sorry. Someone drank the milk. How terrible. Maybe it was that mouse who wanted a cookie. Maybe he drank all the milk. Anyway, so I drank it. Sorry. You're going to click reply. And then you're going to see, oh, well, Arsen Nasser, not the mouse, but regardless, Arsen Nasser admitted to it. He drank it. Sorry. So you need more milk. And then you can also respond back that says, in this case, you're putting their @ symbol in the email address, so they get a notification that you're tagging them, so to speak. And you're going to put, oh, well, I should have guessed. I guess Arsen loves his milk, and there's nothing wrong with that. Or Arsen, he loves his milk, and you can click reply. And then again, they'll be notified that they have been tagged, and they're going to receive an email with a link that will bring them directly to that comment in the Google Docs if you put in their email address. But again, you can only tag. Now, if you do not tag someone, now let's say you tag someone who doesn't have access to the document, you'll then be prompted to have that, do you want to share access a box or not with them? So again, that's something to be aware of. Maybe you don't realize someone doesn't have access to this document, and you're trying to tag them on a comment. Well, then it'll say, well, do you want to invite them to edit this document? But again, the whole point of comments is that this is a great way to ask someone a question about something on a document or to get feedback quickly. So again, yeah, once you type in your comment, you'll then hit reply, and then then it'll be saved. And here we can see this conversation here between Aisha and Arsen, which says, I already bought milk. Do we need more? I drank it. Sorry. And I should have guessed, lol. Again, this does not go into the document itself. These are just side comments. But again, that's just something you can do if you want to. This might be, this could also be helpful more in like a workplace setting or a school setting. I guess we saw an example of a family setting, but again, this is just kind of a lighthearted example. Now, to open the comment history, though, you'll click the big comment box, which is up here at the top, which is next to share. And then you'll see a history of all the comments that have been made, along with the time and date that they were made too, which is helpful. You'll also be able to see suggestions. We'll get to suggestions in just a bit and whether they were accepted or rejected. And then once you've opened the comment history, you can then reopen any comments that have been resolved. Again, that's just for your own knowledge. You don't have to resolve any comments. That's just basically saying, okay, well, there was a comment. We worked it out. This comment has been resolved. Now we don't have to worry about it anymore. So again, you can try it. You can comment. Again, you select the comment, select the text to comment on. You click the comment box, which is up here, although there was another one down here. And then again, you say you write in your comment, click the comment button, type it in, and then click save. And then again, then you can respond to the comment if you want to, or maybe you just let or maybe you just let Nasser sweat that he drank all the milk. Why isn't Aisha responding to me? She's mad at me that I drank all the milk. Anyway, but now we're going to talk about suggestion mode. The equivalent in Microsoft Office was, in Word at least, was called track changes. What track changes would do was, and this is what suggestion mode does as well for Google Docs, is suggestion mode means when you share it with somebody else, you can then change, you can have suggestion mode, which basically means that, if someone's making changes to the document, it won't make actual changes in the document itself. Instead, you'll see a little prompt that'll say that, like whoever you share this with, this is how they want this document to be edited, because they're going to edit it on their side of the screen, on their side of things, but you're just going to see that, okay, well, this document was edited, but are you going to accept or are you going to reject the change that has been made? So again, suggestion mode allows you to recommend changes that are easy for your collaborators to see, so they have the opportunity to review your suggestions. Then they can either accept your suggestions, which then incorporates them into the document, so the change that they suggested then gets moved into the document, or you can reject them, which then makes the suggestions disappear. It's either yes or no to the suggestions. So suggestion mode is when you turn on suggestion mode, the changes you make to the document will be highly visible, in which case we can see that here. And then, so what happens is, if you type in new text, it will appear in a bright color to your collaborators, and you'll see a brightly colored line around the new text that you've typed. Anything you delete will appear to be crossed out on that same color. So you'll see like a line through it, I believe is how it is. In which case, but then what happens is a comment will then appear next to the document, and it'll say like, it'll say what is the change has been made, and you either click the check mark to accept it or the X to reject it. I'm sorry this slide didn't cover how to turn suggestion mode on, but I might look that up in a bit. But anyway, suggestion mode is turned on, and then you see suggestions. So again, so you click the editing mode. Okay, they should have shown this before. You click the editing mode, which is kind of hard to see. It's this little pencil here in the top right. And then you'll click to, and then you'll say editing mode, and then that will open a menu, which you can select suggesting mode, which is this middle one here. There's no way to, I believe, to force someone who's working on the document to be in suggestion mode, I don't think, but you may want to suggest to your collaborator, say, this is kind of important. Can you just have suggestion mode? I think. Like I said, I'm sorry, I'm not more knowledgeable about that, but anyway, you click suggestion mode, and then you'll type in your cookie dough option. Again, you see the reason why this is standing out as opposed to the other part is because, again, these are suggestions for suggested edits. So like I said, it sounds like that has to be something you have to manually do. Track changes, I know in Word you had to turn on. It wasn't just on by default, but anyway. But then again, you can then see what was the suggestion. So again, when you click on the actual text, whatever's been edited, because you'll notice it because it's either a different font or a different color size or whatever. It'll appear in color next to your collaborators. And any text that you delete, again, will have a strike through it. But anyway, so what happens is you look at the comment, in which case you can see what was done. Well, when Arson, this time Nasser, added cookie dough apples and apples to the menu, to the grocery list here. If you want to buy Arson these things, you can click the checkmark box. If you're like, not today, Arson, we are not buying more cookie dough and we are not buying more apples, you will then click the X and then away it goes. And then now the change has not been made. So again, how do we make a suggestion? Well, we click editing mode, we select suggesting mode, and then we type in a suggestion. So yeah, it looks like you have to manually tell everyone, please go into suggestion mode if that's what you want. But again, it's not the end of the world. If someone's making changes and you don't want them to be the edits, you can then do what we're about to do, which is explore what's called version history. Version history is really one of the advantages of the cloud. I remember being really excited, although I never had this myself. I remember back in also, I think 2008, 2009, Apple unveiled a device, which I don't think they even sell anymore, but because I think it's just incorporated into iMacs. It was called, oh shoot, what was it called? Oh, I can't remember. But anyway, they released a sort of like a drive or an external hard drive that would allow you to track the changes or the version history of your document. I cannot remember what it was called. Oh, I just remembered it. I almost remembered it a second ago. It's like time capsule or something. I don't remember. But anyway, that was really a cool thing that Apple was introducing, a way to save version histories of your document. Because if you've ever used like Microsoft Office before, Office, like the product on the like on the desktop, like we have here at the library, those don't save version histories. They only save the current version of the document. So then to reversion the document back to an earlier version, you just couldn't do. But when Apple released their, I don't want to say it started with a C, like Chromium or something, I don't know. But anyway, that was really a powerful tool, and like the cloud really picked up on that and made it very easy to again explore what's called version history. And again, you'll be able to see the first groceries that everyone adds to our list and see who made the changes to the document and when they were made. So you open so to get to the version history, you click the file menu, and then what you can do is from the options below, you will then select version history. And then what you could do is you then click see version history. These options here are more for Mac, because I recognize that Mac button there. But you could also, I believe, option. Anyway, that's the hotkey. We're not going to go into that. But anyway, you just click see version history, and then you'll be taken to a list of all the versions of your document. And then you can then click on a different version of your document. And you can also name the version if you wanted to have a version. Maybe you're at a fork in the project and you're going to go one way and you decide later, well, this didn't work, I want to go the other way. You could then say, well, this is the version that the fork started. Now, to take a peek at a past version, you then simply click on the older version and you'll see the changes that were made to the document in the work session. Now, in order to have that time machine and go back to an earlier version, what you do is you double click on any of the previous version histories. So maybe you want to go back to 5:45 p.m. You can double click on that and then you'll be taken back to that version and you can start anew. You also have the option to click more options, which is, oops. Anyway, you can also have the option to click more actions, which is what we just saw. And again, I sort of got ahead of myself. You can then name the version, or you can even make a copy of the current version of whatever version you want as it exists. That might also be helpful too. I used to do that sometimes too. If I was working on like a document at home on my personal computer, I would then save the version, and then I'd start working and I start working anew, and then I saw the original before that quote unquote fork happens. The fork is the technical term for it in the IT world, but anyway, I'm probably confusing all of us. Needless to say, you can work on a document and go back to the way it was, is basically what the history is, basically what this is saying. So again, to get to version history, you open the file menu, you open the version history, you click see version history, and at that point you see the different versions that are here, and this little toggle will even let you see only versions that are named. That again might be easier for you to find a version of the older version of the file, as long as you're not naming every single version, because there could be a lot of different versions here based on how long you've been working on it and how long Google has been saving it for. Again, Google decides when to save it. You can notice on this menu system here, there is absolutely no option to save your document. There is none, because it is saving automatically, which is good. You don't have to click save. So like I said, saving it automatically. Okay, so that was the gist of it. I'll do a live demonstration in a moment, but just to wrap up what's possible out there, again, we covered a lot in this workshop. You saw the grocery list. You learned, things like how do we create a Google Doc, how to share a document with others. You also learned we also saw how to format a document using the toolbar. And we also showed how to work on a document at the same time as your collaborators, though we didn't collaborate on anything. And you can learn how to leave feedback using comments and also how to make edits in suggestion mode. Now, as you explore Google Docs on your own and with collaborators, you'll, again, probably find new ways to use it. No matter what kind of project you're creating, and not just with Google Docs, but also Microsoft Office 365 or whatever other cloud-based software you found, it makes it easy to work with other people, even if you can't be in the same room. Google Docs is free. I believe there's also a free version of Microsoft Office 365, but again, if you want to use more storage space or do more advanced things, you may have to pay money into it. For Google, if you now the thing with Google Docs though, and using all the Google products is you get your Google Drive also includes your email storage as well. So if you have a bunch of photos in Google Photos, for example, Google Docs is probably not going to be taking up that much storage space, but just be aware though that all that stuff comes together, and at some point you may end up in a situation where you're going to get emails from Google saying you've filled up all your storage size, either reduce it or pay us more money to increase your storage size, otherwise you're going to stop getting emails. Or even you're going to be able to stop saving documents. So again, that's the other thing about the cloud. The cloud can only be so full before Google is like, well, you got the free stuff, now pay us more money to get more storage space. But you'll know that in advance. You can easily look that up. How much is Google's free storage versus, and how much the price structure is to pay for more. But anyway, so the best way to learn these skills, and I said this all the time in the Excel class, is to try them more than once. I know how to use I used to say this in Excel class all the time. The reason why I know how to use Excel is because A, I've done a lot of stuff right, but B, I've done a lot of stuff wrong. And I've done a lot of stuff right, and I've done a lot of stuff wrong. I know that, I've learned that because I practiced using it. The example I give, and my coworker likes to, I like to laugh with my coworker. My Spanish, I learned Spanish for a number of years, and I haven't had to use Spanish in a number of years. So I either forget words in Spanish or I say words incorrectly, and my coworker, she, we have a good laugh out of it, particularly when I butcher something, or I thought, oh, wait a minute, I thought you said something else. She's like, no, this is what I said. I'm like, oops. So we have a good laugh over that. But anyway, so yeah, so you really need to practice. If you want to use Google Docs, use it as often as you can, because because it's cloud-based and you can access it with an internet connection, even on a phone. Well, that might be a little bit hard to use, but I believe Google Docs, I believe you can also download Google Apps as well for Google Docs as well, so on and so forth. But if you don't have the internet at home, guess where you can go to freely access the internet and use a computer? That's the library. We have public computers available when we're open. They shut off 10 minutes before we close, but you can use the internet. And again, because if you're using a cloud-based software, you're not then scrambling to then save your file and upload it to your email and then email it to yourself before we close, because this stuff is just saved automatically to the cloud. So again, now what's some additional resources today? Some of the free resources from Google is you can keep learning on YouTube. Google has a Google Career Certificates YouTube channel for expert tips on how to grow your skills or career. We see there at the bottom, youtube.com/Google Career Certificates. Now, this is something that's not as free, although I'll explain sort of a semi-free version that we offer our patrons in a second, but you could also pay for what's called Google Career Certificates. That's if you're looking to start a new career, land a competitively paid job, or build skills to grow your career, you could do Google Career Certificates. So again, a lot of this is your workplace current employer or your prospective employer. Would they even accept this? They might. I can't say yes or no. I just don't know. But I'd say don't take this to build your skills. But again, that certificate may or may not have any meaning to your current job or the job you hope to have. You'd have to contact them or ask them in advance. You can earn a certificate and prepare for a new career in a high growth field in just under 6 months, even if you don't have relevant experience. Like UX design is here, which is user experience. Project management is a good one. Cybersecurity is a big buzzword, especially in today's environment. There's other stuff here like data analytics, business intelligence, digital marketing. There's even IT support, even IT automation with Python. I wonder if it's not called Google Bard anymore. I don't remember what Google Bard, which is Google's main AI product, is. I wonder if they'll offer a certificate on AI in the future, maybe. But yeah, there's just a lot there. If you want to go the certificate route, you can go to go.google/certificates. Or what you could also do is, although this isn't quite as hands-on, I don't think, is um, we offer complimentary access to the library. If you have a Carol Stream library card, you can get free access to LinkedIn Learning. LinkedIn Learning is, we're probably familiar with LinkedIn. Of course, that's the major networking platform out there. Again, it's all cloud-based because it's all on the internet. But LinkedIn Learning offers video tutorials on all sorts of things. Like UX design is on there, project management is on there, cybersecurity is on there, how to become better at marketing, how to become better at sales, how to learn how to use Excel, maybe even how to use Google Docs. They have a lot of really good video tutorials. And they also include like sample like files that you can use to also follow along if you want to. Again, we're currently offering that. You have to go through our website in order to get to it. If you have any questions about how to do it, I could probably show you in just a moment. But again, we offer complimentary access to LinkedIn Learning. Just you have to go through our website to access it, because if you don't, then you go to LinkedIn Learning, they're going to say, well, start a free trial, then pay us money after the trial is over. Well, because we're paying for it on your behalf, your Carol Stream library card basically voids you having to pay anything. But anyway, so again, this is just, again, but here's some of the, again, they're free online training tools for teachers and students and for local businesses, job seekers, for developers. Again, some of this stuff is free. I know some of it you have to pay for, but you can go to google.com/grow and watch what they have to say. But again, there's just some good stuff here as well if you want to increase your skill set, which is important for everybody, myself included. And for that, we'll say thank you. But if you have to leave, that's fine. But like I said, I'm going to do a live demonstration of Google Docs right now. So with that, I'm going to end the recording. But don't worry, the session will record. The session will continue. If any questions, you can put them into chat. But that is the bulk of the presentation. I'm going to stop the recording. And with that, I will say goodbye to anyone watching the recording. So goodbye, the sky's the limit. And again, watch more videos on our YouTube channel or what have you. So again, thanks for watching this recording.